host the, let's say if they're targeting Microsoft.com, they will host their server on the Azure website, and that's where they can fool the security professional saying that, okay, this is a valid record and the phishing attack is like valid one. Okay, so this is how the domain shadowing works. And how we can, now we will look at like what are the different ways to kind of detect that domain shadowing attack in progress. So guys, before I proceed with that, if you guys have any questions, feel kind of free to kind of interrupt me. Okay, so what are different ways to kind of, yeah, go on.
So I have a question like it is possible only when we get hold of the domain of the Microsoft. So in normal case it is very difficult thing, right? So because getting hold of the like registrar or DNS server is very difficult. So it will be like very rare case, right?
It will be kind of a rare case, definitely. But thing is like most of the attacker, like APT based attackers, like advanced attackers, advanced person threat, definitely will utilize this. Okay, and maybe we say it rare because we are not able to detect that. Maybe it is not rare, just because like maybe because the DNS servers records getting. So let's see that. What's the domain? I think like it will be rare in paper because the only reason is that maybe because it is tough to detect. Okay. Uh, but I think, yeah, if you see attacks by domain shadowing is on the rise. So thing is that in most of the cases, what happened is that the DNS server or a star computer are itself kind of, let's say the employee get fall into a phishing attack, and they got somehow the attacker got hold of the registrar computers, the DNS server which they are managing, and they can kind of utilize it. So as you see, like there are a lot of attackers. Like if you see, threat discovered 12,197 attacks just between 3 months. Okay, so this is one of the easy attack to do, but and it is also kind of very tough to detect. So so this is kind of attack which is actually kind of taking prominence. I think what's the, so it's actually very it's actually a very decent blog actually if you see. Okay, so this is something, yeah, go
So
on.
we'll also be discussing the DNS spoofing part.
DNS spoofing part, you mean something to specify more? What specifically you mean?
Actually, DNS spoofing attack, where the attack spoofs the DNS record. So will we be covering that topic as well?
um not right now, maybe we'll see that later. Right now, for syllabus that I have kind of figured out that I can kind of complete in the limited time is this one, domain shadowing attack. But if time permits, maybe we can look at the DNS spoofing attack. And DNS spoofing attack is actually I think let's give me one
I think it
second.
is like DNS poisoning, I think.
Yeah, I figured out. The thing is that I have actually my own software which actually does that DNS poisoning attack. So what I can do is that maybe one day, what I will do, I will showcase that Python script to you guys, which actually does that DNS poisoning attack. Okay, so what will happen is that the objective, the end goal will be that, let's say you visit the valid website wikipedia.com, but you ended up in my own website. So rather than visiting wikipedia.com, a malicious website got, let's say got displayed on your website. Okay, so I have my own software which I have actually developed, I think uh, long back, I think 10 years back. Maybe I would have that somewhere, and actually very easy to implement. Very easy to kind of run and very easy to implement. So maybe I'll showcase that somehow. Okay, I'll just keep that in the as a note, and once I get hold of that script, maybe tomorrow. Okay, let's say this week somehow, if I get a hold of the script, I'll kind of showcase that to you how that thing get into action. And the other thing is that maybe I will not be able to showcase that uh, here in the lab environment, but definitely I will showcase the script, because thing is that when I did that lab part, I recall that, okay, there I was doing that in the company network. I was doing some testing. I remember there was one guy. There were multiple people who were actually um, who were told by the leadership to kind of present different kind of attacks. Okay, and in that, one of the guy was actually presenting something where uh, he was actually showcasing like what kind of vulnerabilities are there in a specific website. So he was actually visiting a website. Um, I remember some website, Wikipedia.com, for example. And what I did is that in the same time I executed my script. And when he was actually sharing the whole screen on a big screen by a slide projector, and when he visited that website, I remember Wikipedia.com, my own hacking website got displayed that you have been hacked. So I remember it was a funny incident, but that's actually very easy to implement. Maybe what you can do is that it actually requires a little bit of art poisoning in background where you, uh, and by that I actually implemented that. So maybe if I get a time, I'll discuss that. But for now, for limited time concern, this is one of the things which I wanted to consider. Okay, so domain shadowing attack. Okay, so now I will just quickly jump out like how we can kind of detect domain shadowing attack. Okay, so the first thing is definitely the one of the way how we can do that is, let's say I got a URL, like we see that okay, there was a link or a DNS query or a link in the email which says password change at Microsoft.com. What we do, we follow the same manner. We either do a Google search for this one, okay, Google search or some OSI, like we try to search this URL on VirusTotal, for example, and we try to see if there are any reports for this URL being malicious. Okay, so that's one of the things. So maybe we can set up an alert where like what that script will do, it will records all the DNS query that has been kind of made. Okay, so that will tell us okay what all website the employee has visited, and then we automatically do a VirusTotal query, and it will tell us okay what are the domains which is indeed like, and which are kind of maybe malicious to a certain extent. So that's where maybe just by doing a basic Google search, let's say the attack also happened somewhere else. It was not a targeted attack. Maybe let's say someone shared that information on blog or someone. So we can know that okay, this is indeed malicious, or maybe our own company were also susceptible to this attack. Okay, so that's one thing. So that's definitely, are there any reports or of the URL, or let's say we do some Google searches or OSI searches. And the other thing what we also do is that we see that are those subdomains random. Okay, random. For an example, what can also happen is that we could also see that okay, the subdomains can be something like this, like something like Microsoft.com. Maybe again, like here the attacker is trying to kind of avoid detection or blocking, because they are utilizing DZA based algorithm what we have seen last week. So they could have generated a DZA based script over here, domain over here, subdomain over here, to avoid the blocking or avoid detection. And what they can do is that now what we can do is that we can just see like if there are any subdomains that have been kind of showing up in the logs, which says Microsoft.com, but the other subdomains part is like it's kind of random one. Okay, so that's where again kind of we can figure out okay if there were any kind of successful domain shadowing attack going in. Okay, so subdomain checking. Now the other thing what we can also do is that the IP address. Okay, so this is what I have already told, is that let's say the subdomain is pointing out to a different IP address. Okay, we can quickly see if this IP address belongs to Microsoft.com. So if it is not belonging to Microsoft.com, we can quickly write a script or tune up our own IDS alert or firewall. We can stream alerts which say that okay, we got an alert saying that saying as potential domain shadowing attack. Okay, so that is again something we can do. The other thing is definitely one of the concern is that let's say the attacker has targeted Microsoft.com, but let's say they are using Azure platform itself. So in that case, what we can do is that it will be tough to kind of in a normal pass. If we just try to see like who is the owner, we will get it as Microsoft, and these things might evade detection. Okay, So, but thing is like we should kind of know this loopholes.